Thank you. Eat some candy while you're at it. All right, Big Beeper, we're live.
All right, good morning. Can you all hear me? Absolutely. And you see the slides okay?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Joshua, unfortunately, could not be with us again this year, so I'm going to go ahead and run you through how things are standing, new things we put in, where we're heading in the future, and all that good stuff. So this is what we're going to look at, the year in review, the Libra War, the new championship game. We're releasing a lot of new campaign features. That's kind of the focus of our development for this PlanetsCon. A few extra things, and then where we're headed down the road. So looking back over the last year, it was admittedly a bit of a slow year for us. Both Joshua and I had things that kept us from working on Planets as much as we would have liked to, but we still got some things in, and you all have done a lot of fun stuff too. First up, the Capricorn War ended finally. Congratulations, and everyone else who stuck it out. It was a long, hard battle, and I do a couple different iterations of fight or fail. That one there. Out of that, we also got his emperorship, the Wisla Elf Raider. A fun little toy. Something for the badges to play with. That's it for girls. We started to add some features to support some of the game variations that you all are enjoying. The Lone Wolf, we started to put in diplomacy restrictions. We may look at some more things down the road to support that, but I think it's a good start. And we've added it, as you know, into the standard games as well to try and hold down some of the massive alliance forming that was sometimes problematic. We've also added very recently the support for the Planet's Limit ships. That is a feature that a lot of people asked for. There had been some sort of gentleman's agreement versions of the games running with that, and we added it in. It's also going to be, well, I'll talk about that more a little later. Teamwork's legacy artifacts, we added those for the last con, and you all have been discovering them and trying them out. I think we probably reached about 20% of their abilities. Something I would have to check the page, but I think it's about that. So there's still plenty left to discover. Find them, play them, see what you can do. And finally, the Horror Wasp. We're continuing to tweak it. We have removed the starting hive. We're still a little concerned about their early game strength. They still are a little too strong there, so we're continuing to look at that and make adjustments. Any questions on that? Any comments? I can't really hear too much of what you all are saying. I don't know if that's on my side or.
Why no Spear?
Oh, the Libra War. Yeah. So the Libra War, we're going with a pretty standard game this time. We've tried some fairly far out there variations. For this one, we're just going with a pretty standard game for a change. This will open up. I'll go ahead and open it up once I get off the call here. And the sign up process will be the same. You can, if you're a vice admiral or above, just show interest in the game, and we'll send you some emails about it, and there should be a little flag that pops up on your screen if you are qualified to play. Go ahead and show interest, and then once we have a qualified player for every race, then the game will go ahead and start. And do note that if you show interest when the game starts, if you're the top commander, you'll be put directly in the game. So don't show interest if you're not intending to play. We had a couple players do that last time.
Can you make it to the description so it's clear to everyone?
You need to talk.
What was that?
Can you make it to the description, game description, so it won't happen accidentally?
Yeah, I added in one too that you will be put in automatically. So hopefully it'll all go pretty smoothly. It wasn't a big deal last time. I just want to save everyone the headache. Okay, so that's the Libra War. I think it's been a while since we started a campaign. We might be a little overdue here. All right, so the bulk of what we're putting out here, I'm going to go through here with you campaign features. We're looking at the races that not really so interested in balance, just races that kind of needed some more interesting things. The robots, the crystals, rebels, privateers, they all kind of were lacking in their campaign choices. So we're adding some more there. It's been a while since we put out a bunch of new campaign stuff. And as it says here, we got a lot of good suggestions. Many of them have been rolled in. We're not making any changes to the standard game at this time. We're not pulling any more advantages into that. We're still looking at those. A couple may be retired. Joshua made the slide, and I haven't even talked to him about what they are. So, but it is a possibility in the future. So let's go ahead and go through them and see what you all think. Oh, first, minor adjustments to the advantage cost. Rob ship a little cheaper, web mines a little more expensive. Star-based money transfer and destroy planet a little cheaper. Just based on the relative strength and how often they were getting picked. All right, now for the new stuff. Says you've added advanced recycle. When they recycle, they get 75% of the production cost, the PP return. That's based on the cost to build the ship.
Round it up or round it down?
I think it's rounded.
What?
What?
Round it up.
Round it up.
It's rounded up.
Yeah, I think it's rounded down. So that just gives them a little more flexibility. The production queue kind of made super reset not quite as powerful, so this gives them a little boost back after that. The rebels, we've added a hide mission, which allows small ships in warp wells to have reduced visibility down to 1 light year, which means you have to be right next to them.
Which ships are that? Which ships are that?
Under 60 kilotons.
Yes.
Small freighter, Falcon. Regular hands.
How heavy is a Patriot?
Huh?
90.
90.
90.
But in the end,
That's nice.
Unless we are 4, it's not 16.
Right, it's only very small ships. The Falcon, I think, the primary target of this.
Is this
That's
full
nice.
mass or high mass?
What's the advantage cost for this?
Oh, I will have to pull that up. I don't have that list in front of me.
Okay.
Small freighter, neutronic transport, that doesn't include the medium
No,
freighter.
it's under.
All right, those are the three, and the Falcon, of course.
Yeah, yeah. The Falcon is
Deep space.
the main goal, and obviously ships that obtained praise or captured expand the range a little bit, but it's really just for small ships, just to add something a little interesting.
Will it burn fuel while hiding?
What was that?
You need fuel to hide, or will it burn fuel?
It's a mission.
You won't burn fuel, but you do need fuel.
And you're like close with the ship.
Sorry, what was that? I'm having a hard time
So
hearing.
you're just
We'll both now. Sure.
you're close to the farm, nobody can see you.
No, not close.
You can see you if they are right next to you.
Okay, but if I'm outside in the very walkway and the outer points, I can't be seen.
they are not next to
Cool,
you.
right.
How does it work with the host order? If I'm at the planet at the start of the turn and set hi and hyper jump to the tip of a warp well, will I be invisible there?
Yeah, unless someone happened to have a ship right out there.
Great.
Great.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that is a game to play with it, but I'm sure people will come up with other fun things as well. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
All right. The crystals, you've added a minefield, say, fuel advantage. When you move through your own mines, you save 20% of the fuel cost. It's just a nice little gimmick. Fuel usually isn't that big of an issue for them, but
It's for the whole trip, or should it be completely covered with the web? So if it's only one light here, a very small field at the start, can you then jump 81 at lower cost?
it's based on how much of the trip is covered by mines. So if half of the distance is covered by mines, you'll save 10%.
Dependent on the player slot, or is it any crystal? So if you have 3 crystals in the game,
What was that?
What happens if you have multiple crystals in the game?
Well, this says crystal ships, but it's your own mines. So other crystals won't give you that advantage. So a lot of these slides refer to the race, but in general it means your own things. It's based on a standard 11-player game.
yeah, she goes to skip something. Hooray!
Finally they get something.
All right, let's see. Privateers,
Nothing.
they've been a little lacking in interesting advantages. So, yeah. My personal favorite advantage that we've added in this batch are the pleasure parties. You land and disassemble a Lady Royale on a 50-degree planet, and it becomes a pleasure planet. His happiness goes up quite a bit. Natives not so thrilled about it. The interesting part is that colonists from other planets will begin to migrate to the pleasure planet. And you see the range is there out to 250 light years. And this is from all players, not just the privateers. So you can actually get other people's plans by putting these up. Obviously, some races are not affected, those who do not care for pleasure.
What happens if someone captured it?
Yes.
If it gets captured, the pleasure planet is destroyed, and it will have to be rebuilt with another Lady Royale. But if it ever changes hands or is lost, then that does not apply anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as it says here, the planet is also known to all races that are within its sphere of effect. So it's an unusual thing for the privateers to announce themselves like that, let everyone know.
Would it work if someone else, like the colonies, landed and disassembled the Lady Royale for whatever reason?
I still.
No, but they don't. The colonies won't have this advantage. So
Not even on privateer worlds.
Yeah, you have to be on, bro.
Yeah.
It's going to be exactly 50 degrees, no range.
right.
This is pretty difficult to achieve for privateers.
Refugees. Yeah, first turn Lady to think about it.
Yeah.
Then everybody knows your home world.
So there probably won't be a whole lot of these planets out there, but it's something fun, interesting to play around with.
Yeah, it's fun. Good.
But the planet's around 100 light years. After 25 turns, they're empty, right?
No.
We have to rekill them.
No.
They will have their own growth.
So
Yeah, but every time 4%.
Yeah, but they grow at 5 years. Maybe.
Okay.
It's less.
Nice glow rate.
So even Arctic planets don't get under 25 with this, or 24.
If you land on your world, you get nice taxation. but
Messages
It's going to be difficult to colonize.
who comes to your planet. So you'll be able to see.
There'll be messages when the colonists are moving. They will let you know that they are happier there and they are leaving.
But do they tell where they came from?
Yeah, the planet will show up on your map, even if you've never scanned it. It will be known to you if you're within the range of effect.
One question was whether the privateer will get a message telling him from where the colonists came from. There was another question, whether the privateer would get a message telling him where the colonists came from.
No, they do not. It doesn't give them the advantage of knowing what other people have around it.
It's more improved.
They will just see colonists appear.
yeah, it's okay, great.
Okay, so moving on.
What, Big Beaver,
Yeah.
what happens when that planet reaches max population? Does it drain on the other planets in?
No, it'll keep draining, and I guess they will die off. If it gets too high.
It's definitely too hot there.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine it would take a while for that to happen. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Okay, we have also added a fighter. So just in addition to the Rob mission, it requires a privateer carrier, and you get a 10% chance per fighter to steal that fighter. And so you'll steal on average roughly 10% of the fighters being carried. And of the fighters that are robbed, about half of them will make it back to the privateer ship. So there's some loss in robbing fighters, some are just destroyed. If the privateer ship's cargo is full, they will still rob the fighters, but they'll just destroy it in space.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives them a slight advantage. It's not mentioned here in the slide, but there's also robbed fighters off the starbase. Yeah, I should have double checked this. That was kind of an important point.
Question.
Yes.
If you have, let's say, a fleet of 6 cloaked carriers on rock fighters mission over a starbase, do you actually rob more than 10% of the fighters then? Is it once for all of the carriers who are robbing the fighters?
Do you rob from the base?
No.
Yes.
Base. Also progress.
From base.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the reason to use it. Otherwise, it's probably you.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed the question there. What was that?
Is it? Does this happen once, or is it the 10% chance per fighter per carrier which is robbing? So if you have 5 cloak carriers robbing a starbase, do you actually get the attempts 5 times?
Well, it's per fighter. So if you had 60 fighters on a starbase, the first one would rob and say get roughly 6.
Okay.
So then the second would rob, there'd be 54 left, so it would have a 10% chance.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
At each of those. So yeah, a fleet of carriers could drain a starbase fairly significantly.
So basically, this would be a way for privateers to take max bases without losses in the end game.
It gives them a boost in that area, for sure.
And you need to carry your
Hey, Vic,
Yeah.
what's the priority of robbing? Does it go low to high ID and then to the starbase, or is the starbase first?
Starbase is first. But as I mentioned, it will rob fighters even if its cargo is full. So it will still pull them off and blow them up.
So 5 enemy carriers are sitting there. It's going to get 10% for every single fighter in that system. And then, of course, they may not even appear on the pirate fighter.
Right.
Wow. Nice ability. The pirates are going to love that.
Yeah, it'll give them something different. Definitely a better way to deal with starbases. We'll see. I mean, the privateers naturally don't have a whole lot in the way of carriers. It gives them reasons to build the cloaking carriers more so than they had before. So and also they have the hive mission as well. Most of what they have closed, but since we had it and it seemed to fit with it, we threw in that option for them as well.
And locally resistant.
Next stage.
Okay, are we good on the privateers?
Okay. Robots.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, the robots kind of hold
To get the who is too fast.
Vince.
Excitement here.
Yes.
You can make robots. You can make little robots. Good idea,
I don't know. So we can go through these. Hardened mines cannot be swept by fighters. So this is the colonies kind of have the upper hand in that battle. This can help swing it the other way if they choose to pick it up. That's pretty straightforward, I think. Dense minefield is an interesting one. It basically removes the limit on how many mine units you can put into a minefield. So you can just keep dumping more and more mines in. It won't increase in radius. It's still capped at 150 light years. But after it reaches that size, it will start to become more dense. And what that means is that the mine hit probability goes up, and the minefield decay also goes up. So there's a cost to it. If you make a super dense minefield, then it will decay faster. So I don't think it's overpowered in that way. I think the cost will help keep it in check. I don't think you're going to see, minefields with 10 times the mine hit probability or anything like that.
Does that ability affect minesweeping? And if you're minesweeping, can you tell how dense the minefield is?
What was the end of that question?
If you're sweeping mines, can you see how dense the field is?
Yeah, it will show if the density is above normal, it will show it in the hover text there. Although I think it shows how many units, so you can see how many are in there, and if it's over the max, then it's considered a dense minefield. Sweeping is normal. Enemies don't sweep any more mines out of a dense minefield than they do a normal one. So this can allow it to really maintain a max size minefield in an area that's important.
And if you put 5 sweepers on the edge, you just sweep the whole density out of it at no risk.
Do you need to have large minefields switched on to use dense minefields? Or could you use only small minefields to be denser?
It requires large minefields.
Oh, that's...
So we also have robots is one that's been brought up in discussion many times.
Nice.
So it's a mission. You can load any ship, turn on that mission, and it will make a clan out of a mineral and a supply.
So, sorry. But if you're on wet minefield, you can lay a minefield as a robot and you save fuel in the wet minefield.
You need to come here.
The microphone is on the back.
I'm there.
You're one bit far.
Okay.
You didn't explain yet.
Yeah, Madison is coming to ask.
Yes, I'm coming.
So yeah, they also have the minefield save fuel advantage.
So if I stuck in a wet minefield as a robot, I lay a minefield, and so I save fuel in the wet minefield.
Oh, you don't get fuel.
It's just the fuel of your movement.
So I move just a little bit, 1 light year.
Then you save.
Okay. Now I see it. Yeah. Okay.
You save zero fuel.
Doesn't work. Damn.
It's a drain for.
Nice try.
Yeah.
It's only the fuel of your movement.
What happens if you build robots with a neutronic refinery? Do you make fuel or robots? Not that there's a difference, but no.
But it depends on the mission. Mission robots.
Alchemy goes automatic.
Yeah, but
I'll have to check. Build robots should come first.
Could be random.
It's a mission. You have to turn that on.
Yeah.
Okay, and the robots have also gotten internal temperature regulation, which is a pretty big econ boost. Allows them to grow their population on every planet as if it is 50 degrees.
Hooray, say the lizards!
Does that mean that their current Arctic or desert advantages, that they disappear?
What? I mean, it's capped at the 50-degree limit.
I meant there.
No restriction anymore for population. Also, not only growth, but also the max population is like 50 degrees.
The max. Talking about the 85 and above and 15 and below. Are robots no longer affected by the maxes on those?
Right, the max population is also adjusted.
Ooh, that is serious.
Okay. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of robots out there.
Hey, Big Beaver, can I suggest that this is a real flip of strength from robots to colonies, and you might think about just reducing fighter sweeping rather than eliminating it, say from 20 to 10? That's a huge flip.
Yeah, we'll look at it. I mean, if things turn out unbalanced, then we'll make adjustments. All right, so that's the robots. Empire. A single advantage. Galactic power.
Yes.
Yes.
Good one.
You know, the Corby is supposed to be a big threatening ship of the game, and it's been a little lacking in that regard. We had destroyed planet, which helped it some. But this is definitely a big boost. It makes it a really scary carrier.
Yes, it does.
So I think that's pretty straightforward. It just always fights from the left. And no more going even odds with rushes or golems or any of that.
Imagine that we drop a superstar frigate between every single.
And we got a few more new features here. This is kind of a stepping stone feature. Full alliances. They now share full data.
Very nice. Very nice. Big time saver, yeah.
I think the biggest things that are shared now are missions and friendly codes.
Yeah. Great.
So
Also friendly
it should be helpful. It's not a live update feature yet. We're planning to add that in the future. But you will see all the information from the start of their turn.
Oh, the last one.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah, time saver. Wow, great.
So we've also added automatic warp tunnel. It's a user setting you can turn on. Check it out. Let me know. I think it works pretty well. If there's any issues with it, let me know. I haven't had a whole lot of time to test it. But it should save some hassle with using warp wells. We figure in probably 98% of the cases, it's better to just automatically go to the warp well. There's a few outliers where you might want to do something else. Most of the time, you just want to use the warp well. This will just do it for you automatically.
These are the new features for standard also. The others were campaign, but this is for standard? For all games, or?
Yeah, well, the waypoints, that's just a UI setting. So that's just, you can turn it on and use it if you don't like it or if there's problems with it, you can turn it off. It's a client-side feature. The alliance sharing, that's a game setting. So it will be coming into new games. Old games will not be affected.
But it's done for classic games or standard games. It will be the case. It will be applied.
It's going to be added. It's not there yet. I haven't released all the code yet. I'm gonna get to that after we get off here. But yeah, it's gonna be added into standard and classic games. All the system games will have it on. Games that have already been created won't be affected, but new games will be.
Will these automatic smart waypoints also reduce the probability of mine hits?
Yeah, it's just as if you set the waypoint yourself to go into the warp well. It just saves you the hassle of having to tap the right key 3 times or however your preferred method of doing it is. It just does it automatically. When you click on a planet, it will set your waypoint to the warp well instead. So you'll save a little fuel, save a few chances of hitting the mine. It's nice. It speeds things up, and it kind of plays into the direction we're going here, which we're going to talk about pretty shortly.
Will the star map will be updated because with the warp connections, when you press connections on Starbase, will you have the warp connection from the planet?
The warp well connections.
So when you see the connections between planets, there's some planets that you can get to if they're not 83 light years away, but they don't show as connections currently.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't changed anything in that, so I'll have to look at that.
And sorry,
that is 83 away, or is it just certain planets?
It's certain planets. If they're more than 81, but less than the warp well distance, they won't show as a connection, but you can actually get there in one turn.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look at that and update it. I didn't.
And that's the script for it, but would be nice to have.
Yeah, that's one of the super secret, folks that have been around know that they slip between planets where everybody thinks they can't go between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
And one other thing, this is a default setting. This will help new players a lot, but do they have to turn it on, or is it default?
It is not default yet because I'd like to get a little testing on it first, but it will be down the road. All right, a couple other new, smaller, these aren't even really new features, just new things that we've enhanced. The new combat generator is available in public games now for those that want to try it out. It's had a fair amount of testing. It seems fine, a little different, but I don't think it skews anything terribly. So if you want to use it now in public games, you are free. We're not putting it into the system games yet. And also, we talked earlier about how you all have been discovering the powers of the teamwork artifact. Some of that information that you all have found is now in the UI. The descriptions will tell you about what they do, and also the planet mining and happiness will reflect the artifact. So that's something to keep in mind. If you were discounting that before, it will now be included.
Then I was supposed to understand.
I think we have to make Eva very, very drunk this evening.
Alright, so that's it for the new features. Talk a little bit about the direction we're heading with things. We're still looking at growth. We've tried a fair number of things with limited success. We have found that we're getting a lot of people from mobile. The mobile app is drawing people in. As you can see here, we lose a lot in the first turns, and I think to some degree that's how it is. I know when I try out a new game, I decide fairly quickly if it's something I'm interested in or not. But we definitely want to get that number a little better. The other reasons we see people leave are when they get destroyed, and or when they see something new that they don't understand. We see a lot of people after they get hit with the privateers or the crystals, they just quit. It's so demoralizing that they just drop the game entirely. And so we want to look at these things and kind of add some stepping stones in here. So the successes here, the mobile, the Academy games work as a simplified version. We're gonna look at kind of a different way of doing that to try and help new people get into the game. But yeah, here's what we learned. The learning curve is too steep. It's a very complex game, and we have struggled with how to help people learn. To get into the game without overwhelming them with the details, but they need to learn those details at some point or they get crushed and quit. And also mobile is important. Planets is actually, with the timing of it, the fact that you can play fairly casually, it's a pretty good fit for mobile, I think. And so we're gonna continue looking at that.
Also for Apple?
What's that?
Cut.
Okay, also for iPhone?
iPhone?
Yeah, iPhone, iPad. So it's now only Android.
That's mobile also.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about mobile in just a minute. So
okay. I just wanted to say something for the last point. Research,
What? Research?
Research. The most new players come from via mobile and from where? From
medicine.
From PlanetsCon. Yes. So maybe we have to throw this in all the community to some people have sites and so on, that more people join, come to VGA Planets.de, to Planets NU, VGA Planets.de, there you have a guide. You learn it in German, for example. Why? Yeah. You learn it in German, yeah, because you're Dutch.
Why speak German?
That's
proper language.
Maybe that's a possibility.
Learn Spanish like everybody else.
Okay. Why in Spanish? That's very important.
Yes.
I think.
Costa del Sol. Yeah.
That's not fair.
Hasta la vista. Okay. Yeah, big Nuniverse, jetzt geschafft. Ja.
I didn't really catch much of that. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So we can do some questions coming up here at the end and discuss things. And I don't know, the audio side is not coming through real clear over here for me. So anyway, let's look at some of the tactics we're taking to try and help out the new players. looking at Academy and the fact that it is drawing in some players, and it's not moving people into the main game as much as would like to see, but so we want to make some steps there, and we're gonna make some sort of different levels of games and try and not dump all of the features on people right from the get-go, and let them pick things up a little incrementally. So this is an example of what we're thinking. And we'll set up some beginner games, and we'll take out a lot of the stuff that this is almost a very Academy-like setup. So take out fuel logistics, ammo, minefields, warp wells, the crystals and the privateers, get rid of the left-right advantage, and we're also probably going to go with the planet's limit chips queue. We think that's easier to understand for newer players. That's one of the reasons we brought that in, is to help support these different tiers of games. And so hopefully what we're thinking is, by introducing new players with a lot less stuff to think about, that they can, just learn more basic logistics, moving minerals around, how to get ships where they need to be, how combat works, relative strength of ships, without so much.
It might be. It might be a good idea to find different names for it. People don't like to be called a beginner.
Okay, yeah, we could name it something.
It's like having small size condoms. People don't buy them.
Yeah, we can look at that, give it a classier name. We're suggestions on that, I'm sure.
One question, the no ammo, do you mean every ship, if you build it, it gets a full load of torps, or it can even take the glance and then still has torps when it starts fighting?
Yeah, it says no ammo, basically unlimited ammo in terms of torps and fighters.
So they are not on the ship, or you don't need to buy them? Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to buy them. You don't have to worry about carrying them when you fight.
Like colors.
Good. Would you like to play as beginner? It sounds like heaven. Disabled blue fighter.
So then, the intermediate level, we would start to add some of those things back. These are just examples. We haven't decided on what features are going to go where. And then advanced will be the game that we currently know, with all the features on. And then we will look to probably retire Academy down the road. The other thing, well, a couple other things we're looking at. We started to add a smart assistant. I was hoping to have a demo for that today, but I don't yet. And so right now our assistant, it kind of tells you what to do. Move your ship to this planet, drop this many clans, and so we kind of want to move away from that and make a more open-ended assistant that can just provide guidance based on your situation. So if you have a lot of ships and not a lot of planets, it can you can ask it for a suggestion, or if you're just sitting there staring at your screen for a long time wondering what to do, it will speak up, and perhaps you might want to colonize it, bring some clans over, or here's an enemy ship coming in, we need a warship to deal with it. But instead of a sort of a scripted tutorial, it's It's just going to be more open, and it should be applicable in really any game. And it may, it may even be useful to experienced players as well. They can offer suggestions on, you just told this ship to go somewhere, but you didn't set a warp, or you don't have enough fuel. So we're gonna look at a lot of things like that, where it can help you.
Will it be organized like satellite navigation, so that we can charter one of a random emperors to be the voice of our smart assistant?
This is mentor. Don't trust him.
Kill mentor. I'll read out every single instruction. Kill mentor.
Didn't get that? Okay.
All right, we have a question from the YouTube live stream. If beginner games are so basic, how can a mentor help teach them to play the game?
Well, we're gonna change up the flow. This is kind of our last point here. We're gonna change up the flow of signups too. We're going to not directly drop people into a mentor game. They are successful at retaining some players, but we're going to move away from it as a first step. So what we're looking at is adding a sort of a large single player game, something bigger than the levels that we have now. So they can really just get out there and explore and try some things. They can turn over turns quickly without having to wait for other players. I know the mentor games now, after they finish the accelerated start, they do go into the single player levels, but it doesn't seem like that's as effective as we would like. So what we're looking at doing is starting them in a large single player game, and then after they make a little bit of progress there, saying, good job, look at what you're doing. Maybe you'd like to join this mentor game. And so the mentor games, we're not really sure what level they're going to be at. But mentors, I would assume, can give suggestions even without all the features. Another advantage is that the players in the mentor games should be more interested. It should reduce the number of drops. We may actually lower the number of players in the mentor games. Because right now, as you know, that's a big issue, is that mentor games, we've increased the retention some, but still the majority of players are gone by the end of the game. So, and I think that will also make the games more attractive to mentors if all the midshipmen are interested. So, and we may even look, we may even look at different levels of mentor games. There might be, say, a 6-on-1 mentor game for beginners, like a 3-on-1 for intermediate. As another possibility we're looking at is changing where the mentors can get involved, so that more advanced players can get more advanced advice. Beginners can just learn the game. But yeah, I think that's what we're looking at there. All right, any questions about any of that?
No.
Okay. So, and mobile, the other piece we were talking about. The fun fact from Joshua, that the average mobile screen resolution is now about the same as what WinPlan was on. So we're kind of starting with same screen size all over again. obviously, a lot of phones have higher resolutions, but we're looking to make something that is playable on a lot of different devices, and we're going to move away from the apps. I know someone asked about the iPhone, iPad. We're going to move away from apps altogether, and we're going to look on enhancing and updating our web client so that it can just be played better on mobile devices. I think that'll work. I think that'll work better. As you've seen, we have pretty limited resources, and it's been pretty difficult for us to maintain two different clients. Mobile client has largely been ignored for quite some time. So this will allow it to not have to update in a lot of different places. It should help us get new features in more easily. So, but it just takes some work on the client, and what we have some demos that you all can look at. They put a lot of work into it. You create an experience that works on all sorts of sizes, that works fine on a desktop, but also can scale down and be playable on a phone. And we want to make something that works for all levels of players.
Nice. Multiple waypoints.
So, if you want to go out, you want to take a look at what we're working on. It's different. It will, it'll take some adjustment. We're iconifying a lot of things, trying to remove the text, a lot of the text, to help reduce some of the sizes of some of the screens. But it looks a lot more modern, a lot more gamey. So check it out. Just keep in mind that it's very early in the development of this, and there's still a lot of issues with it. Don't use it for anything important. It's not that stable at this point. But check it out. That's the direction that we're going to be moving in. We want to get it out there and start getting feedback on it. See what people think. Start giving people a chance to adjust. We haven't, as it says here, we haven't done a lot of testing on it, but it does seem to work. I did test it on an iPhone, and it seems to work there as well. So that should also, expand us into being available on the Apple products as well, without having to make a whole new app for it. So I think that's about all I have for you today. We can do some questions.
Great.
Anything? Everyone looking at their phones?
I have a remark on the subscription model, or the subscription, how it works. I had the case that my 2-year subscription finished, and exactly at that point in time, I was downgraded to Tech 7, which in that case, where I had like 6 games running in quite important phases, really limited me. So my proposal or recommendation would be, can we have something like a 2-week advanced email or something saying that the subscription is going to finish, or have a probation period, which means when it's finished, we have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks where you can continue playing the full version, and then it is quit or it is cancelled.
Yeah, we can look into adding a reminder. It didn't downgrade your bases, right? You just weren't able to upgrade new ones.
Yeah, but I think I could only build Tech 7 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But at bases that already had upgraded text, it shouldn't downgrade anything.
Oh, okay.
You cannot raise your tech levels on new bases.
Yeah,
so
but,
it's very
but usually you build new bases on the front line or something.
Yeah.
And
so it can really be annoying.
It is really annoying, and I mean, I'm going to extend anyway. So why not have something like a reminder or?
No, I agree with you. I just want to make sure that it didn't downgrade bases that were already there, because that would be an issue. It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll look into adding a reminder. That's a good idea.
Do you have a plan that these campaign features will come to the standard next year? Because I think many are missing something for robots and Evil Empire.
Yeah, we'll look at them. We tend to kind of trickle these things in. The Empire's gotten from the birds, the fascists. They come in. We talked about possibly bringing the Ares in for the Empire. Some other things. So we do look at it every now and again and bring things in as we think will help the balance or just the fun level of playing the races. And I think we talked about it last year that the robots have kind of been in need of a little love. They're not. I don't think they're underpowered. Just they're kind of straightforward. I guess they could use a little more interest. I won't say for sure. But we will. Okay. We do pull things in standard every now and again. Thank you. Yeah, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your. What time is it out there? Evening now?
Late afternoon.
Late afternoon? Yeah, it's still pretty early here. I'm working on my coffee. So.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're not here, yes, but soon there will be the barbecue at 6 o'clock in the evening. Oh, sorry that you're not here.
All right.
Next time, maybe. Oh, we see us.
Yeah. Perhaps.
We want to come in Canada, Joshua's house.
Ja, genau. Im Keller auch.
All right.
Y'all enjoy.
Take care. See you later.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
The features. Is it campaign or is it campaign? Robot features
Also, yeah, but maybe later in December.
That's nice. How is this break until half an hour break? Half an hour. And then we have people can talk out and then I can prepare points in the discussion. What we have first and so on. We have okay, we need the papers. We have to use pencils.
All right, guys. We'll continue at 4:30. 4:30. Always half an hour.
Half an hour, and then this free discussion and leave it a bit.
Yeah, must be there. Next to the lamp, straight on, from the table, straight on, next to the empty wine bottle.
The like the Bobby,
Yeah.
the collective empire.
Oh my God, who was sitting
Bobby
here?
has the left side. That was just
the right cheese.
Yeah.
Right. Put the cheese in the
Let's say it just looks like it's
Maybe Bobby every other.
When du was brauchst,
Maybe not.
hier ist noch Wurst.